Hi, this is Jim Peters with the Responsible Hospitality Institute. I'm here to provide a summary of the Tuesday Forum held on November 8th, Building a Safety Alliance for Risk Management. This is a monthly event that we have on the second Tuesday. It's an open format. People join the call, but then they're broken up into groups of 6 or 7. And each group then discusses for 30 minutes the discussion topics, and then one person reports out, which you'll hear following this presentation. Now, some of the highlights of a Public Safety Alliance format or focus include, first of all, that it doesn't have to be called an alliance. It could called be team or it could be called something else. A coordinator is important and can assist in breaking down silos and sustain engagement over time. Sometimes this is the night manager, the director of the Office of Nightlife, or it could be somebody within the police department or some other public safety organization. There are regular meetings that exchange data to monitor progress and set priorities. Sometimes these teams expand beyond the police to include fire, code, bylaw enforcement, alcohol regulation, health, mobility, transportation, and sometimes it expands to include public works that focuses on a broader approach that includes quality of life, lighting, traffic, parking, etc. Some cities formalize training of officers. Edmonton has hospitality officers within the public safety Office of Public Safety, and then they also have other uh, department or agency representatives that work at night, and this helps to create a cross training among the field teams. And some cities incentivize best practices and establish a mentor program for the top performers to assist at risk venues. So now we're going to move on into the summary. You'll hear about Chicago and Edmonton, Raleigh, Sacramento, and Pennsylvania as different approaches. Thank you for attending this Tuesday forum, and I look forward to having you participate again in the future.
But we discussed some of the different agencies that are involved in the program. Usually it's police and something related to liquor control. And economic development, if you have a night manager, the night manager's involved. Sometimes it also engages the district attorney's office to address different things. So those are the agencies that are involved. And then in terms of what's the impetus for kind of what the agency's doing, a lot of it is complaint driven, but really trying to be a little bit more focused on being proactive. So I think some of the goal was compliance and enforcement, but trying to be more proactive in terms of addressing different things. And then building it around safe best practices. And what are the best practices to, again, help businesses be compliant? So Chicago reported out on a lot of great things that they're doing. They go into the districts and train them. And then they're also looking to whether or not they're going to have a night manager. So they're looking to see if that might be a good approach for them. In terms of, we spend a lot of time focusing on how we support businesses and how we interact with businesses. And it's really trying to figure out the best way to support them. So it's taking kind of in a more active approach with them, helping them with some really robust outreach. Um, RuPaul talked a lot about some really great ideas they have in their jurisdiction with some really great webinars. So information that people have that's accessible, kind of helping them on how to, get their license, how to interact with inspections, even helping them with marketing, because a big issue with businesses is when they're not doing well, they might do some things in terms of cutting corners with safety. So helping them to market is a really good way to get them moving forward. Montgomery has a great program with a pre-licensing team, which really helps people that first year so that they do a really good job and kind of figuring out what they did. Brian mentioned in San Francisco, they have a great handbook that's available for folks. So it's really focusing on how you can give businesses support so they can be successful. And then again, in terms of the agencies that are involved, economic development and police, and we had a really good discussion on sometimes whoever's more the lead kind of directs the approach. So sometimes it's more of an alcohol or police driven approach. And then other times it's economic development. And what we cautioned was sometimes when it's more of an enforcement, which is alcohol or police, the approach is really based on the leader. So if you have someone who has more of a softer approach when you're talking about alcohol or police, it's good versus someone who maybe thinks that they're a little heavy-handed. So it's really important to figure out who's going to be the lead in setting the tone for how you approach your alliance team.
And we had a really good discussion. So we had some insights from Edmonton and from Raleigh and from Sacramento. And so also one thing that was brought up is that often it's not formally called an alliance, but it's just a coordination of a team or a group. And so Edmonton has been established for a while, and it's almost 2 decades. And so basically they were mentioning the importance of having a coordinator because everyone's kind of doing their jobs, but that can be kind of in a silo. And so it's good to have someone who's kind of like steering people, who are working in these various safety organizations. And so, yeah, they're talking about, tracking and monitoring, they're monitoring progress every week. They'll monitor a report of licensed locations citywide with important things to focus on. And, there are conditions on how businesses are run. And so they'll approach, by phone, email, and in person if necessary. And so they'll show up, at 1 a.m. sometimes in nightlife venues. And they're primarily oriented from education, education before compliance. And then, yeah, Sacramento has a pretty robust system with their entertainment permits, and they have a dedicated team of several officers who are working together. And then they'll have quarterly meetings as well. We'll just discuss important issues that are happening. And yeah, also Raleigh has, they will also bring together transportation, fire, development, and waste services, and just discuss nightlife issues, anything from lighting to waste management. And they'll just work hand in hand with the hospitality districts as well. So they've all been a great benefit. Even if they kind of work in different ways, they're not formally called alliances.
So I'm just going to talk briefly about how we collect data. We had our Safety Alliance, as I mentioned earlier, for over a dozen years. And we found that although we were meeting pretty often, we weren't really collecting the data as we moved around the community. Our team, actually, whatever the team makeup was at the time. So we started using iForms. So on the iForms and on an iPad, we would collect information. It would almost be in a survey form, depending on what we were doing that evening or that 3-month period or whatever period it was. All that information goes back to an Excel spreadsheet that we can use to create better programs or really find out what the issues were. Depending on, like for COVID, it was really to see if people were carrying out by the drink properly in a sealed container, things like that, so that we know we can create an educational program as well too. It's similar to almost a mystery shop, but so it was really beneficial for us to have that information, and now we have it for every detail we've done in the last, I would say, 7 years is when we started using iForms.
Cindy Bidlick with the Public Safety Compliance Team in the City of Edmonton, Province of Alberta, Canada. I was going to talk about how we interact with our social venues, basically through education, and then we do have to do enforcement, of course, sometimes. But on the Public Safety Compliance Team, again, it's bylaw with EPS, or Edmonton Police Service, Alberta Gaming and Liquor Cannabis, Alberta Health Services, Fire, Occupational Health and Safety. So we go in for new venues. We kind of explain our situation, what we see things are, where we might have concerns. When we go to a lot of these venues that are in our entertainment districts, we usually have, Edmonton Police has beat officers at most of our entertainment districts. So we invite one of the beats teams to come with us. So there's that face-to-face meeting with the new venues. So they see who's going to be out there every night, and not just us, because we only come out once or twice a month. And then also, for education, we do our little spiel. We have our brochure about the business license bylaw and all that information. We talk about our operational plans, which is how they tell us they're going to operate until there's a possible screw up, and then we tell them how they're going to operate. And then Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis will provide online courses for Protect and ProServe. Protect is for their security teams, how they can de-escalate situations, how they handle an unruly patron. ProServe is all about the serving staff, the wait staff, to find out the age, looking at someone, how to determine their age, IDing certain people, to ensure not over intoxication, how to limit service, all those types of lessons. Alberta Health Services will do food handling because under our legislation, all of our major liquor venue places do require food services. And then a part of our business license process to get them licensed to open up, fire actually has to do a walkthrough, and that's when they will come and do their educational piece. So while we are a team and we work together, we kind of separate this portion out unless there is either a brand new venue where we do not know anything about these people and we have concerns, or it's a venue that has had issues where we need to stop them, and we come as a huge team showing force. So that is how we interact with these social venues.
Hi, this is Jim Peters again. I want to thank you for participating in this video presentation. Please go to our website, sociablecity.org, to learn more about the different programs and upcoming events that we have. Thanks again. Bye.